The universe is sending you this message tonight through the only messenger that never lies, your own body. Right now, as you are listening to this, something is happening inside your body that your mind has not fully understood yet. Maybe it is a warmth in your chest that showed up days ago and never really left. Maybe it is a heaviness in your hands without any clear reason. Maybe it is that strange feeling in your stomach that comes and goes like a wave, without explanation, but still does not fully disappear. Your body is trying to tell you something, and what it is saying is something your mind is afraid to fully accept. Your body already knows. You did not come across this message by accident. You did not open it at a random moment. Something deeper than simple curiosity guided you here tonight. Something inside you recognized this even before your thoughts formed. Your body has been holding a truth about this person that your mind keeps trying to ignore, and tonight, that truth is starting to speak. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders drop a little. You are safe here. What you are about to realize is not something to fear, but something to finally feel. This message is for the one whose body has been speaking for a long time, the one who keeps dismissing the signs, the one who needs to understand that they are not imagining things. Your body already senses something important about this connection, even before anything happens in the outer world. That awareness is not wrong. There is a reason you have been feeling things that do not match your current reality. Everything around you may look normal. Your daily routine has not changed. Your life seems the same on the surface. But underneath, something has been shifting quietly. Your body felt it first. That tight feeling in your chest when you think about them is not random. That is not just anxiety. That is not just fear. That is your heart reacting to something that is moving closer to your life. Those moments when your skin suddenly feels warm, when your breathing changes without effort, when your body reacts for no clear reason, those are not coincidences. They are signals your mind cannot yet explain. Your body is picking up what your awareness has not fully accepted. There is a deeper system within you that receives information before thoughts can form. The mind explains things later, but the body feels first. And your body has been receiving signals about this person for longer than you realize. If your body brought you here, then some part of you already understands this. Right now, somewhere in their life, something similar may also be happening. They might be going through changes they cannot explain. Their emotions may shift without warning. Their sleep may feel different. Their focus may drift for no clear reason. They may feel restless in quiet moments. They may suddenly pause in the middle of the day, as if something invisible is pulling their attention inward. Even simple things may feel slightly unusual, as if something inside them is waiting for something it cannot name. Sometimes, you might think they are thinking of you too. A name almost forms in their mind. A memory almost appears. A feeling almost becomes clear, but then it slips away before they can fully understand it. This is not imagination. This is emotional resonance. The mind works with logic, but the body works through connection. And sometimes two people start to feel each other before they ever fully understand what is happening. You may notice emotions appearing without reason, a sudden calm, a wave of sadness, a strange comfort. These feelings are not always only yours. Sometimes they are reflections of what is happening in someone else's emotional state. This kind of connection does not depend on distance. It does not need words. It does not need physical presence. It works in a different way. There are moments when you are doing something normal, like sitting, walking, or simply breathing, and suddenly everything inside you becomes still, not because something happened, but because something is shifting in awareness. Your body reacts before your mind can explain it. Over time, the way you experience this connection also begins to change. At first, it may feel heavy, like something sitting in your chest or mind all the time. But slowly, that heaviness begins to change form. The intensity does not simply disappear, it transforms. What once felt like confusion slowly becomes awareness. What once felt like emotional chaos begins to turn into understanding. Your body stops reacting with the same urgency. The constant overthinking, the constant emotional tension, the constant reaching out, it all starts to soften. Not because the connection is gone, but because your system is learning to hold it differently. You are not losing anything. You are changing inside. And that change affects everything. When you stop chasing emotionally, something else starts to shift in the space between you and this person. The energy changes, the dynamic changes. Even silence feels different. What once felt like longing slowly becomes awareness. There are moments when memories return without warning, not just thoughts but sensations. The feeling of someone's presence near you, the emotional safety they once gave you, the comfort that existed without words. These memories are not here to hurt you, they are here to show you what your body remembers. Even when the mind tries to move forward, the body keeps memory in a different way. It stores experiences as sensations, not only thoughts. That is why certain songs, places, or moments suddenly bring emotions you cannot explain. It is not only memory, it is emotional imprint. Over time, your body also changes how it carries this connection. Your breathing shifts, your posture shifts. You become less reactive and more aware. This is not emotional detachment. This is emotional integration. You are not the same person who once felt overwhelmed by uncertainty. Something inside you has stabilized, and that stability changes how you experience love, attachment, and connection. Now you are not reacting from fear. You are beginning to respond from awareness. And that is where real change begins. There is something deeper happening that many people do not notice. The emotional bond between two people does not exist only in thoughts. It also exists in patterns of attention. Even without words, attention moves, emotion moves, awareness moves, awareness moves, awareness moves. That is why some people never fully leave your mind. Not because you are stuck, but because something in the emotional system is still active. And when something is active, it shows up in small ways. Sometimes in dreams, sometimes in sudden thoughts, sometimes in emotional waves that do not match your current moment. Dreams especially become a place where deeper emotions become clearer. In dreams, the mind relaxes control and emotional memory becomes stronger. That is why some dreams feel extremely real. Not because they are predictions, but because they reflect emotional connection at a deeper level. In those moments, closeness can be felt without physical presence, and even after waking up, the emotional feeling can stay with you. Your body remembers things that your mind cannot always fully explain. And as time moves forward, something inside you continues to shift in subtle ways. The intensity of emotional confusion slowly starts transforming into a calmer kind of clarity. You begin to understand that not every feeling requires action. Not every emotion needs urgency. Not every connection demands an immediate solution or resolution. Some connections are meant to be understood first through awareness alone. And in that awareness, something very important becomes clear in you. Letting go of emotional tension is not the same thing as letting go of the connection itself. Real love, when it is genuine, does not simply disappear just because urgency fades or distance increases. It changes form, it becomes quieter, softer, steadier, and more internal. And in that quiet inner space, you slowly begin to understand yourself in a deeper and more honest way. You are not the same person who once felt overwhelmed by this connection. You are becoming someone who can hold emotions without losing balance or control, and that is real transformation. Because when your body stops chasing emotional intensity, everything inside you begins to reorganize naturally. Your breathing becomes more steady and even. Your thoughts begin to clear. Your emotional reactions become less chaotic and less overwhelming. You start feeling more like yourself again, without all the inner noise. And this is not a separation from love. This is alignment with yourself. And in that alignment, something very meaningful begins to happen inside you. You start to realize that the strongest connection you are forming is not only with another person, but also with your own emotional truth. And once that truth becomes clearer, everything else begins to settle into place in a natural way without force. You did not come across this message by accident. Something deeper than coincidence brought you here at this exact moment, as if your attention was gently guided by something unseen that you could not ignore. Right now there is a quiet shift taking place in your emotional world. You may not fully understand it yet, but you can still feel it in different ways. It might appear as restlessness without any clear reason, sudden memories returning without warning, or a strange heaviness in your chest that you cannot easily explain. These feelings are not random or meaningless. They are signals from within you, and your body has been carrying them long before your mind was able to put them into words. Sometimes love does not arrive in loud or obvious ways. It does not announce itself or demand attention. It enters quietly, in a way that feels almost invisible at first. That is why many people do not recognize it in the beginning. It can look like hesitation. It can feel like emotional distance. It can show up as silence, pauses, and moments where nothing is said, yet everything is still deeply felt. And even in that silence, something continues to exist between two people. A connection that does not simply disappear just because it is not spoken about. You may act as if nothing is happening, and they may do the same, but deep inside, something in both of you already understands the truth. The most confusing part is this. You are not only afraid of each other, you are also afraid of what might happen if you fully allowed yourself to feel what is already there. Because real love does not only bring comfort or joy, it also brings change, and change can feel uncomfortable or even frightening when you are not ready for it. So instead of moving closer, both people begin to hold back. You start overthinking your words. You replay conversations again and again in your mind. You become careful with your emotions, not because you feel nothing, but because you feel too much at once. And when something feels real, it can also start to feel risky. This is where fear quietly enters the space between two hearts. It convinces you that waiting is safer than acting. It makes you believe that distance will protect you from pain. So you stay in a middle space where nothing is fully lost, but nothing is fully gained either. But fear always has a cost. It keeps two people close enough to feel everything, yet far enough to never truly experience it. And still, the connection does not fade. Even distance cannot erase it. In fact, distance often makes it more noticeable and more clear. If there was nothing real between you, time would have already dissolved it completely, but instead, it stays in thoughts, returns in silence, and appears in moments when you least expect it. You may not talk every day, you may not see each other often, you may even try to move forward with your life, but something inside you does not fully let go, and something inside them does not let go either. This is because emotional connection does not always follow logic. It follows depth, feeling, and inner recognition. There is also something else happening beneath your awareness. Your body often responds before your thoughts can explain it. A sudden warmth in your chest, a wave of heaviness in your stomach, a calm feeling that arrives without any reason, or a tight sensation when you think about them. These sensations are not meaningless. Your body often understands emotional truth before your mind is ready to accept it. It reacts to energy, memory, and emotional attachment in ways that thinking alone cannot fully explain. Sometimes you feel completely normal on the surface, but inside something shifts. A memory appears, a feeling returns, a name crosses your thoughts, and suddenly your entire body responds before you even understand why. This is how emotional bonds often exist when they are not fully expressed. Not through constant communication, but through deep inner recognition. Even when you are far away, your mind still returns to them again and again, not because you are forcing it, but because something inside your emotional system has not fully completed its process. That is why certain people stay in your thoughts longer than expected, not because you choose it, but because something within you has not reached full closure. At the same time, fear and love often grow side by side in the same emotional space. The more you care, the more there feels to lose. That is why hesitation appears, not because the connection is weak, but because it feels important enough to protect. You may tell yourself to wait, to be careful, to avoid disappointment or pain, but in doing so, you also remain in uncertainty, and uncertainty creates its own emotional weight that you carry silently. There is a point where silence becomes heavier than truth, because what is not spoken does not disappear. Instead, it builds up. It grows in thoughts, emotional tension, imagination, and expectation. It becomes a space where two people feel everything but express nothing. And yet even in that space there are signs. You notice small details about each other that others would completely overlook. A tone of voice, a way of speaking, a memory of something said long ago. These details stay with you much longer than they normally should. Without realizing it, you begin forming an emotional map of that person in your mind. This kind of attention does not happen without meaning. We do not observe someone deeply unless there is already some level of emotional connection involved. There is also a strange pull that appears when you try to create distance. You step back, but you do not fully detach. You become quiet, but you do not become absent. Something always remains. Even when life continues moving forward, a part of your attention still returns. Not as obsession, but as familiarity, as if the connection never fully closed inside you. This is where confusion begins to grow. Because one part of you wants clarity, while another part is not ready to let go of possibility, and so you remain in between states. But emotional truth does not stay hidden forever. Over time, it begins to show itself through patterns, reactions, and subtle responses, through the way your body reacts when you think of them, through the way your thoughts soften when their name appears, through the way silence still feels meaningful instead of empty. At some point, you begin to understand something very important. If there was nothing there, there would be no hesitation at all. Indifference creates clarity, but emotional depth creates uncertainty. That is why confusion often appears exactly where feeling already exists, but has not been fully expressed. And while your mind continues searching for answers, your body keeps responding in its own language, a language of sensation, emotion, and instinct. It does not argue or question, it simply reacts. Sometimes it feels like peace, sometimes it feels like tension, sometimes it feels like longing without direction, but all of it is information, not proof of destiny, and not certainty of outcome. It is simply evidence that something inside you becomes activated when this person exists in your thoughts. Even dreams can become part of this emotional process. You may see them in sleep in ways that feel more real than expected. You wake up with a feeling that stays longer than the dream itself, a sense of closeness that your waking mind cannot recreate easily. And in daily life, small triggers can suddenly bring everything back again. A name, a place, a sound, a memory, and your body reacts before your thoughts can catch up. These experiences do not need a supernatural explanation to be meaningful. They simply show how deeply emotional memory can be stored inside you. Over time, something begins to shift within you again. The way you hold this connection changes slowly. The intensity may soften, but awareness becomes clearer and sharper. You are no longer reacting only from longing. You begin to observe your emotions with more stability and understanding, and that shift matters because it shows that emotional attachment is slowly turning into emotional awareness. You are no longer only chasing meaning, you are starting to recognize yourself within it. At the same time, the fear that once controlled your reactions begins to lose strength. Not all at once, but gradually and quietly. You start understanding that protecting yourself is not the same as avoiding your feelings. And love, when it is real, does not only exist in longing, it also exists in awareness, patience, and honesty with yourself. There may still be uncertainty. There may still be unanswered questions. But what becomes clearer over time is this. What you feel is not empty. It is not imagined. It is something you experience deeply, even if it does not have a simple definition. And sometimes that is all emotional truth needs. Not a label, not a promise, just recognition. Because when something keeps returning to your thoughts, keeps affecting your body, and keeps holding meaning even in silence, it is no longer something easy to ignore. It becomes part of your emotional landscape. And whether it leads to action or not, it has already changed something important inside you.